Hey everyone, welcome to Restorative Yoga with Mel. I'm Mel, and in today's sequence we're going to explore some restorative yoga postures which are really effective to helping you just relax your digestive system. So we all know how when we're feeling a bit stressed, that our tummy can feel a bit funny if we're a bit nervous, say before an exam or doing a driving test, then we can often really feel butterflies in our belly. So this yoga sequence will just to help calm and relax the abdomen and leave us feeling a little bit more grounded and relaxed. So, although I've got all of this equipment here around me, you don't necessarily need to have all of this. You don't even really need a yoga mat as long as you've got a supportive surface beneath you. It's usually a good idea to have a few blankets available. If you don't have a yoga bolster, then just get yourself a few firm pillows, so things like from your bed or your sofa will be fine. You might also like to have an eye pillow, so these we just place over our eyes when we're practicing, but again, if you don't have one of these, if you've just got a scarf or just something soft to place over the eyes, then go and grab one of those as well. So once you feel that you've got everything that you need, you might also need a strap. So if you don't have a strap, again, a scarf can be really useful, but you can do this next posture without the strap. So I'll show you what it is. So it's called Effortless Rest. And we're going to start by just placing a blanket on the surface beneath us. This is just to bring a little bit of extra warmth and comfort into the body. And then you're also going to want a blanket for a pillow for your head. If you've got a soft cushion you want to use behind your head, that's also fine. You're really just looking for enough support so that when you lie down, the back of your neck is long. So if I were to lie down and find that my chin was sticking up towards the ceiling, I would want to bring my chin back in towards my chest. However, if your neck is a bit stiff and you can't just bring your chin in, then all you do is you make your blanket a little bit thicker. So that gives you a sense of what size pillow you need underneath your head. Now if you're using the strap, you can make a loop with the strap, and if you don't have a strap and you're using a scarf, then all you're going to do is place that scarf around the legs. So we'll start sitting, and then we take our strap or your scarf and you place it around the legs. So it's about halfway between your hips and your knees. You don't have to have a belt or a strap to do this. You can just do the posture without it, but sometimes having the strap here just brings a little bit of more support to the legs. So if you find when you lie down in a moment that your legs start to shake, it might be a sign that you need a little bit of support for the thighs. So once you've got your support in place, use your arms to help you lower down all the way onto your back. Check you've got that support for the back of the head. And then from here you can tuck your shoulders in, and then you might notice that's caused me to lift my chest a little bit too much. So now I'm going to lift my hips a little bit, move my tailbone towards my heels, and then lower my hips back down. So now my lower back is really comfortable, nice and relaxed. This is where if you've got your eye pillow or anything that you're placing over your eyes, you can pop it on, and then your arms can just relax wherever's comfortable. So that might be down by the sides, you might have your hands on your belly, it's really your choice. And so this is our first position. We're going to be spending a little bit of time here. Usually what happens when we first start to practice restorative yoga is that the mind is still quite busy. And so we might find that we feel a bit distracted, or that the mind is a bit anxious, or that we're thinking about what's happened to us recently or what might be happening in the future. But the longer that we spend in restorative yoga, the more we start to slow down and quiet the mind. So it's a bit like peeling an onion. You just peel off the layers of tension, just gradually, one by one. And so this posture is a really nice way to release tension in your lower back. So if you've been sitting in a desk chair, or maybe you've had to do a lot of driving recently, this is a really nice posture to practice. It helps the spine to come into a more neutral alignment. And it also helps your belly to begin to soften and relax. So without having to try, you might notice that your breath begins to change, just naturally to become a little bit longer or fuller and deeper. And again, this just happens with time. It's not something that you want to try to force or to hurry, but just to notice how your breath is feeling. And the reason we're able to start to breathe more fully and deeply here is because we're beginning to soften the psoas muscle. So it's a hip flexor. If you picture yourself cycling or walking, the hip flexor is one of the muscles that's helping you to lift your leg up and replace it back down. And it's very responsive to stress. So when we're feeling stressed or a bit worried about things, then this muscle can get quite tight and quite dry. And we can come back to that feeling of agitation in the digestive system. So this posture is a very gentle way just to relax the nervous system, the digestive system, and create a bit more space for the breath. And the longer that you stay in this posture, the more you might start to notice things beginning to change. So as the psoas muscle starts to lengthen and release, you might notice some tingling, maybe in your arms and your hands. You might notice a feeling of heat coming through the body, maybe starting at your torso. You might even feel a little bit of a shaking or a trembling feeling in the legs. And nothing is particularly right or wrong, so all we're doing is observing and noticing. And you can stay in this posture for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even 40 minutes. Main criteria is just that you're comfortable. As soon as you are not enjoying being here anymore, then you are welcome just to move from the position. But it's worth remembering that sometimes the mind gets impatient and bored, and the body is actually quite comfortable. So if you're new to this sort of practice, if you're not used to moving this slowly and being this still, you might just start off with a few minutes and then gradually build up to being here for a bit longer. The only time you wouldn't want to do this position for a long time is before you go to bed. And that might sound strange, but the reason is that this psoas muscle, when it starts to release, can release a feeling of energy through the whole of your body, and it can actually leave you feeling quite awake. So that wouldn't happen for everyone, but it might be worth just avoiding doing this for any longer than, say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes before you're planning to go to sleep. So if you're enjoying being here and you're starting to feel your lower back release and the shoulders begin to soften, if you're starting to notice there's a little bit more space in your breath, then you're welcome to stay here for longer. You can just pause the video and come back to it at any time that you're ready. Otherwise we'll come into our next position. So you're welcome to keep the eye pillow on. I'm going to take mine off at this point. And then if you've been using a strap or a belt, then you're just bringing your knees in towards your chest, taking that off, and then taking the right leg in towards your body. So we'll be holding the right leg here. So if you've got any knee injuries, you might be more comfortable holding under your thigh. Otherwise, holding the shin is fine. And then from here, have a go at straightening your left leg. Now if this pinches anywhere around the inside of your groin, then just bend up the leg again. Otherwise we'll have the leg straight, pointing the toes to the ceiling. So this is what we would call a slightly more active stretch than the last posture. And by that I mean that you probably can feel some stretching here. The last posture we were softening. Now we're having a slightly more active stretch. And so you might find that you can breathe into your belly, so that your belly goes up towards your thigh, and then as you breathe out, drawing that leg closer towards you. And your leg might come towards your chest, but it might also go slightly wider to the armpit side of your body. That will depend on the shape of your pelvis, so there's no right or wrong. You can just explore what feels good. So this is coming back to softening this psoas muscle that I mentioned. It's also really good for your digestion. It's good to do if you are feeling a bit full up. It's good to do if you're feeling a bit blocked. And it's, unlike the last posture, it's very good to do before you go to bed because of the calming effect it has on us. Encouraging the blood flow to all of the digestive organs. And so when you're ready to change sides, we'll start by taking a breath in. And then as you breathe out, releasing the leg all the way down. And just resting here, you might notice the difference between the right leg and the left. That right leg might be feeling a little bit longer. So we'll invite the left leg in as well. So using the inhale, the left leg will come in. And again, you'll hold your shin, or maybe the thigh if that's better for the knee. Any pinching around the groin, you can bend your right leg up and just practice here. Otherwise the leg is straight. And your eyes, if your eyes are open, you're not really looking at anywhere in particular. The gaze is very soft. And you might be more comfortable with the eyes closed, just to help you stay present with your body, because we all know the mind is very useful at thinking into the future and into the past. But in yoga we're trying just to become a little bit more present by becoming more aware of our body and our breath. So our body and our breath, two things that are keeping us very much in this moment. And again, you might take a nice full in breath, and as you exhale, draw that left knee closer towards you. You don't have to do that, it's just an invitation just to explore. And this left side of the pelvis might feel quite different. And the weight of the leg is also, as it presses down into the digestive system, we're massaging out the colon. We're also massaging out the lower back, pressing the back down into the floor. And then when you're ready to come out on this side, again, start with your breath in. And then nice and gently release the leg and just rest for a moment with the arms down by the side. You can relax your legs completely. And just check in. Notice how your breath is feeling and how your body feels. And then we'll come into our next posture. So bending up the legs, feet on the mat, rolling to the side, and then coming all the way up. to sitting. So this next posture is not suitable for you if you've got any particular knee or ankle injuries. It can also be a bit challenging to do if there's some tightness in your lower back or your hips. So I'm going to show you how to set up the bolsters, which is in this T-shaped position. So if you're using pillows or cushions, you need them to be really firm. If you're feeling a bit stiffer in your body, you just make this higher. So for example, you would just use more cushions to make this higher for you. That would be a bit high for me, so I'm going to just take away one of these. It's really nice to do this on your bed actually, because the mattress is soft, so that will support the legs a little bit. So let me show you. We'll take our pillow, pop it onto the bolster, and then you start sitting in front of the bolster, and you can sit on your heels, or slightly harder is to sit in between your heels. Only do this if you feel fairly comfortable with how open your hips are. You also, if you've got a block or a cushion, can place that in between the feet so that you're sitting up a little bit higher. So if this is already too much for your knees and your ankles, don't continue, don't do the next posture. We're going to start to lower ourselves back. So this is a really good deep stretch for the front of the thighs. So good for any runners out there. And again, we've got this really long length through the torso. So if you're comfortable in this position, again, you can put an eye pillow on you. Sometimes it's nice to cover yourself with a blanket. And you can stay here for as long as is comfortable, perhaps up to 15 minutes. However, if this is not feeling very comfortable for you, but you feel that you are not quite ready to give up on it, then the second option is to do one leg at a time. So I would bring my right leg in next to my hip, my left leg would be out, and then I would take it on this side. And you might want a timer nearby. You could use your phone, just make sure it's on flight mode so you don't get disturbed. And then you could just start with maybe 1 minute on each leg. So again, doing it on your mattress is a really good way to explore if you haven't done this posture before. If in doubt, if you're worried, please don't do it now. Always speak to a yoga teacher. You can always contact me through my website. And then staying relaxing here for as long as you want. When you do feel ready to come out, you place your hands down by your hips, so you use your arms and push yourself up. And you can also use your arms to just release the legs out in front of you. And then just come to sit, however's comfortable. Just for a few moments, you can have your hands down on the thighs, closing the eyes, and just to sit and feel the effects of the practice, hopefully feeling a bit calmer, a bit more grounded, and a bit softer around the belly. And thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.